All right. Shalom, family. It's your brother Kanaiba coming at you once again with this video titled, "The Lord's Hand is Not Shortened, That It Cannot Save." The mindset we need for the times ahead. Jacob's Trouble. Okay. So, of course, the title of this video is inspired by the verse that's actually in Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 1, which we're going to get here in a minute. But this is something that we need to remember, now more than ever in these last days, especially the days that's upon us. Okay, which is what? Jacob's trouble, right? And what we need to remember is the Lord's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save. Meaning what? There's no situation that you can think of that the Lord cannot deliver you out of. All right? And with Jacob's trouble right here upon us, we're really in the beginning stages. Okay? This is something we have to bear in mind to help increase our faith, because faith is what's going to be paramount. We're going to need that type of faith to actually survive these times that's ahead. All right? And we have to remember that we serve a power that can deliver us out of anything, no matter how it looks, no matter what the situation may seem to be. You have to maintain that faith and understand that the Lord can deliver you out of anything. Okay? So we're actually going to get into this verse. And what I want to do is I want to briefly go over the story in the book of Daniel, chapter 3. Okay, which is what? The three Israelite brothers, which was Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, that went into the fiery furnace. We're going to get that story, okay, because that's really the perfect story for this particular video and the title of this video. All right, so we're going to go over that particular story briefly. Hopefully this will increase your faith and give you some insight on the mindset that you need in the times ahead. And then we'll bring this video to a close. Okay, this will be more like an exhortation. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the scriptures. Okay. So opening up, this is Isaiah 59 and verse 1. And it reads, now watch closely. It says, "Behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save." Okay, and this verse was really the inspiration of this particular video, or the title of the video. Okay, the Lord's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save. Okay, he can deliver us out of anything, whatever the tribulation may be that we're going through. Okay, and we're about to see that in a minute here. Okay. And the rest of the verse reads what? It says, "Neither his ear heavy, that it cannot hear." Okay, the scriptures tell you that the prayers of a righteous man availeth much, roughly paraphrasing. Okay, so his ear is not heavy, that it cannot hear. Okay, but a lot of times, when our prayers are not answered, if you actually read further into this chapter, it tells us that it's our sins, our iniquity is what separates us from the Most High, to where, he won't hear your prayers, or answer your prayers rather. Okay. But just to stay on topic, again, the beginning of this particular verse is the inspiration for the title of this video, which is what we're about to get into. Okay. So with that, let's move forward. And let's get into the book of Daniel, chapter 3. All right. So moving forward, this is Daniel chapter 3, and we're going to start at verse 12. Now, when you get a chance, actually read the whole story on your own. It's actually a beautiful story. Okay. I was going over it again the other night, and tears almost came to my eyes. Okay. Just, knowing everything that the Most High has done and will do for his people, the children of Israel. Okay. And what he did for these three brothers, these three righteous brothers that stood, firmly for him. Okay, when they were being forced, or they were going to be forced to actually worship an idol. Okay, but let me not jump the gun. Let's actually get into the story. Okay, now, just like I said, just to brief you. Okay, now these were men of the Chaldeans that were actually accusing these three Jews, as you see here, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, which is actually their Babylonian names. Okay, and they were being accused of not worshiping this particular statue that was just built by or King Nebuchadnezzar just had built. Okay, when you read verse 1, I believe this particular statue was 60 cubits high, and I want to say it was 6 cubits wide, if my memory serves me correctly. Okay, but yeah, and whenever music was actually played, everybody throughout the Babylonian provinces would have to actually bow down and worship this image. Okay, this was actually the decree or the proclamation that was given to pretty much the heads of the provinces of Babylon. Okay, that they would have to do it, and the rest of the people would have to bow down to this particular image whenever they heard all the music playing. Okay, just to brief you on what's going on. So Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, they refused to do it. Okay, those three. And that's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Okay. So now we're picking up at the point where they're being accused to King Nebuchadnezzar. Okay. So let's get into the story. And it reads, "There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego." Now, again, these are their Babylonian names. Okay, this is actually Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Okay, and it goes on to say what? "These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up." Okay, and this golden image is the image I was talking about earlier. Okay, so this is them being accused by those Chaldeans to King Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, verse 13. "Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king." Okay, so they were just accused to King Nebuchadnezzar because they would not bow down and worship this image. And now Nebuchadnezzar has heard this report, and he's furious because they have now disobeyed his order. Okay, so let's move forward. This is verse 14, and it reads, "Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up?" Verse 15. "Now, if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. And who is it that God that shall deliver you out of my hands?" Okay, so we see the situation that these three brothers are in. Okay, and like I said earlier, whenever this music is played, the decree was all people are supposed to actually fall down and worship this golden image. Okay, but these three Israelite brothers, they refused to do it. So now they're being threatened by King Nebuchadnezzar to be thrown in this burning fiery furnace. Okay, and he's pretty much mocking them, asking them, who is this God that's going to deliver you out of my hands? Okay, so that's the point that we're at right now. So let's continue. So this is verse 16, and it reads, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. Okay, now watch closely. Watch how they actually answer Nebuchadnezzar. Listen to their mindset. Okay, because this is the mindset that we need in the days ahead. All right, now watch closely. It says this, if it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning, fiery furnace. Okay, do you see that? Their mindset is, okay, do what you have to do. But the God that we serve, he is able to deliver us out of this situation. Okay, bringing us back to the title of this video. The Lord's hand is not shortened that he cannot deliver. Okay, no matter what the situation may be. And we have to adopt this mindset because we are coming upon a time that the Bible says or is titled the time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, and it's supposed to be the worst time in the history of this planet. There's never been any other time like this. All right, so we have to adopt this mindset. We have to know that the God that we serve, he'll deliver us out of anything. Okay, and it goes on to say what? And he will deliver us out of thine hand, O King. Okay, let's look at verse 18, and it reads, but if not, okay, if there's a possibility that he chooses not to, because everything is according to his will, he will have mercy upon whom he will have mercy. That's his choice. Okay, so it says, but if he will not, be it known unto thee, O king. Now watch closely. That we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Okay, so no matter what you're going through, even if you're presented with death, you are supposed to stand for your God, the God of Israel, the God that you serve. You are supposed to be ready and willing to die for him and his word rather than sin. Okay, because we're coming upon times where we're going to be tried. Okay, it's going to be the hour of temptation, and that MOTB is right around the corner, and you'll be presented with it, and you'll have to make a choice. Okay, some brothers and sisters are going to have to be martyrs for this truth, but you have to adopt the mindset that these three brothers have right here. That's the reality of this thing. Okay, so moving forward, this is verse 19, and it reads, then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake, and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. Okay, so he was so furious that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego just blatantly disobeyed his order. That yes, he ordered them to go into this fiery furnace, but he ordered that this furnace be heated 7 times hotter than usual, just especially for those three. Okay, so now let's move forward. This is verse 20, and it reads, and he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Now let's think about this for a minute, okay? And this is beautiful. These are three righteous men who chose to stand up for the Lord our God rather than to bow down to an idol, to worship another God. They chose death, okay? They chose to die for the Most High rather than sin. This is beautiful, okay? And situations like this are going to be upon certain brothers and sisters during Jacob's trouble, during that hour of temptation, okay? So now let's move forward. So the next verse 21, and it reads, "Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace." Okay, now can you just imagine what's going on here? Okay, just imagine them approaching this furnace that they're about to be thrown in, okay? Looking at the flames and everything like that. This violent fire inside this furnace. You know, they're walking up upon it. Now, most people whom are not spiritual, they would have folded right then and there. Okay? But there again, they see the way that this situation looks, but they still did not fold, despite how it looks, because guess what? That's what faith is about. What's the biblical definition of faith? When you read Hebrews 11:1, it tells us what? That faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Okay, not seen. So no matter how this looked, this situation, them actually approaching this burning fiery furnace, they did not lose faith. They still had faith that the Most High Yahweh would deliver them out of this situation. Okay, so moving forward, this is verse 22, and it reads, "Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego." So because the fiery furnace was turned up 7 times over, okay, because these mighty men of his army brought Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they came close to the furnace as well. Those flames were so violent that they burnt up those mighty men of his army, okay, that bound Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were killed by the flames. Okay, but notice Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they didn't get hurt. Okay, so now let's move forward with the next verse 23, and it reads, "And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace." Okay, so now let's move forward. This is verse 24. Now remember, these 3 brothers, they are now inside in the midst, it said, which is the middle of this burning fiery furnace. Okay, now let's see what happens next. Okay, verse 24, and it reads, "Then Nebuchadnezzar, the king, was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire?" Okay, now let's pause here for a minute. There's a reason he's asking this question. Okay, he's saying, I could have swore we threw 3 men into the midst of this burning furnace. Okay, why is he asking that? Well, let's continue. Let's see here. It says, "They answered and said unto the king, True, O king." Now watch this, verse 25, and it reads, "He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose walking in the midst of the fire. Let's pause. Again, this is why he asked that question. Wait a minute. We put 3 men in this furnace. Why am I seeing 4 men? And notice it says that they're loose. Remember, at first they were thrown in the furnace bound. But now he sees 4 men loose. Okay? So let's move forward. The verse says this. And they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. Okay? So he's seeing 4 men in the midst of this burning fiery furnace, and they're loose. Okay, and it says they have no hurt. The flames did nothing to them. Okay, and then he described the 4th man that he actually seen in the furnace. He said the form was like the Son of God. Okay, so the Most High sent an angel to actually protect these 3 righteous brothers. Okay, but this is not enough. Let's get a little more in-depth explanation of what's going on here. Okay, let's go to the Apocrypha and let's read the Song of the 3 Holy Children. Okay, also known as the Prayer of Azariah. Okay, let's get into that real quick. All right. But what we have to understand is, even in the midst of their tribulation, in the midst of these flames, okay, because they stood for the Lord our God, because they stood so firmly for him and they didn't bow down and worship this idol, the Most High sent his angel to come and protect them in the midst of their tribulation. Okay, and this is something we have to bear in mind for the times that are ahead. Okay, so now let's move forward. So going to the Apocrypha, this is the Prayer of Azariah, or also called the Song of the 3 Holy Children in the Apocrypha. Okay, this is chapter 1 and verse 1, and it reads, And they walked in the midst of the fire, praising God and blessing the Lord. Look at what they were doing in the midst of their tribulation. They praised God. They didn't question him on why he was letting this happen. Why did this have to happen to us? What did they do? They praised the Lord. Okay, verse 2, and it reads, Then Azariah stood up and prayed on this manner, and opening his mouth in the midst of the fire, said, verse 3, Blessed art thou, O Lord God of our fathers. Thy name is worthy to be praised and glorified forevermore. Okay, and that name is Yahweh. Okay, and of course, the name of his son is Yahawashi. Those are the names that are to be praised forevermore and glorified forevermore. Okay, verse 4, and it reads, For thou art righteous in all the things that thou hast done to us. Let's pause for a minute. So again, like I just said less than a minute ago, look at their mindset. They're not saying, why me? Why did you let this happen? Okay, this is wrong. Okay, they're saying that the Most High is righteous in everything that he does to us. Okay, the verse continues on and it says this, Yea, true are all thy works. Thy ways are right, and all thy judgments truth. Okay, so we're not supposed to, question the Most High on, why certain things may happen to us. Okay, it's all according to his will, and he's righteous in everything that he does to us. Okay, so now from here, we're going to jump down to verse 23. Okay, when you get a chance, you can read the whole story on your own. Okay, because this is really the same story we're reading in the book of Daniel chapter 3 about those three brothers. Okay, it's giving us a little more insight on what actually happened inside of that burning fiery furnace. Okay, so now let's jump down a bit, and this is verse 23, and it reads, "And the king's servants that put them in ceased not to make the oven hot with rosin, pitch, tile, and small wood." Verse 24, and it reads, "So that the flame steamed forth above the furnace 49 cubits." Verse 25, "And it passed through and burned those Chaldeans it found about the furnace." Now, we already read that in the book of Daniel, okay? Those mighty men that actually bound those three brothers, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, they actually got burnt up by the flames because they were too close. Because remember, the furnace was, the heat was turned up 7 times hotter than usual. Okay, so now let's move forward, and this is verse 26, and it reads, "But the angel of the Lord came down into the oven together with Azariah and his fellows, and smote the flame of the fire out of the oven." Do you see that? Okay, what does the Bible tell us about the angels of the Lord? Okay, when you read Psalms chapter 34, and I believe round about verse 7, it tells us that the angel of the Lord encampeth round about those that fear him and delivereth them. Okay, and we're seeing that in this story. We're seeing that in this verse right here. And we have to bear that in mind, because if we are those that fear the Lord and serve him, he will send his angels to encamp round about us during our trials and tribulations and the times to come. Okay, because remember, when you read Romans 15:4, it tells us what? That everything that was written aforetime was written for our learning. That through patience and I believe faith of the scriptures, we might have hope, roughly paraphrasing. Okay, so we have to read these stories and understand and apply them to our life. Okay, and know that, like King David said, he has never seen the righteous forsaken or begging bread. Okay, so moving forward, this is verse 27, and it reads, I watch closely, "And made the midst of the furnace as it had been a moist whistling wind." Okay, so remember, these four, okay, these three righteous brothers and that angel, they're in the midst or the middle of this burning fiery furnace. Okay, and this angel made it to where it was like a very cool breeze that was upon them and around them in the middle of this burning fiery furnace, to the point that it didn't faze them at all. The flames didn't faze them at all. Okay, actually, let's not jump the gun. Let's read it. It says, "So that the fire touched them not at all, neither hurt nor troubled them." Okay, do you see that? This angel came and protected them during the time of their trial and tribulation, in the midst of this burning fiery furnace. Okay, can you imagine how originally this looked to those three? Okay, to the normal eye, it looked like they were done for. Okay, but they kept their faith, and they understood that the Lord, that his hand is not shortened. that he cannot save. And they kept that faith, and the Most High sent his angel to protect them. Okay? And again, if you are one of those people, one of his children that actually fear him and serve him, he can do the same for you and I. All right? But yeah, this is a very beautiful story. It's a faith booster. Okay, and like I said, you can read this story on your own, and I would advise you to read it, in full, both in Daniel chapter 3 and, this chapter here in the Apocrypha. And actually, when you finish out this particular chapter in the Apocrypha, here in the Prayer of Azariah, chapter 1, it's only one chapter. They continue on throughout the end of this chapter to praise the Most High Yahweh and, bidding all creation to praise and glorify him forever. Okay, that's pretty much how the chapter ends. But, like I said, read the whole thing on your own time. Okay, but I just wanted to, brief the story. I didn't want this to be too long, but it's a beautiful story. It's a faith booster. All right. So from here, let's move forward to the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, and we're going to start at verse 1, and it reads, "But now, thus saith Yahweh that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee, I have called thee by thy name, thou art mine." Okay, so it's clear looking at verse 1 that this is talking about us, the children of Israel. Okay, so now let's move forward. Let's look at verse 2. Okay, and there's a point here. Let's look at verse 2, and it reads, "When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee." Now let's pause here. Okay, now this is giving us a little bit of history. Okay, what does it mean when it says, "When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee"? You can bring this back to the story of Moses and the Exodus. Okay, we passed through the waters, through the Red Sea, and the Most High Yahweh was with us. Okay, so this is not him just saying something or giving lip service. He literally demonstrated this. Okay, it goes on to say, "And through the rivers they shall not overflow thee." Again, this is going back to the time of Joshua and the river Jordan. Okay, going into the promised land. Okay, so now let's look at the end of the verse and watch closely. Here's the point. "When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee." Okay, now what is an example of this? We just read it. Okay, dealing with the three righteous brothers. Okay, dealing with Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Okay, that's what this is likened to. And not only that, this is also dealing with us in this present time. Okay, dealing with the trials and tribulations we'll go through, and dealing with the literal fire that's to come by way of World War III, those nukes that's to come over here. Okay, that fire, Lord willing, we're a part of the elect. It will not harm us. Okay, actually, let's move forward to the book of Zechariah and let's bring this to a close. Okay, so this is the book of Zechariah, chapter 13 and verse 8, and it reads, "And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith Yahweh, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein." Okay, now that third, of course, is the 1/3 of Israel that's going to be saved. That's the elect. Okay, but 2/3 of our people are going to be cut off and die. Okay, and that's what's to come. Okay, now let's look at verse 9, and it reads, "And I will bring the third part," which is the elect, "through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined. And I will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, Yahweh is my God." Okay, but still, looking at the beginning of this verse, it says what about the 1/3, the elect? It says, I will bring the third through the fire. Okay, again, just giving more credence to what Isaiah said in Isaiah chapter 43 and verse 2. How he would bring us through the fire and how it would not harm us, roughly paraphrasing. Okay, and we've already seen examples of this dealing with the book of Daniel. Okay, and the story of the 3 holy children in the Apocrypha, the prayer of Azariah. Okay, so these are the things we have to bear in mind. Okay, in these last days, the Most High will bring us through the fire. He's going to refine us, meaning what? We're going to have to go through things. Okay, this fire is both literal and symbolic. Okay, the fire being symbolic, meaning the trials and tribulations we go through are meant to do what? To refine us. Okay, to make us better, to purify us. Okay, but looking at it literally, that fire is going to come by the nukes that's coming over here during World War III. And Lord willing, we'll be delivered onto the chariots, and the fire will not harm us. All right. But anyway, I believe this is actually a good place to end the video. And again, the title of this video is "The Lord's Hand is Not Shortened, that it cannot save." The mindset we need for the times ahead. Jacob's trouble. Okay, and again, the title of this video was inspired by Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 1. Okay, that's where I got the title from, right? And we went over the story, or briefly, kind of summarized the story of the 3 righteous brothers and the fiery furnace. Okay, showing how the Lord's hand really is not shortened, that it cannot save. He can deliver us out of any and everything as long as we keep the faith and stay faithful to him, as those 3 brothers did. Okay, and we have to keep this in mind for the times that are ahead. All right, there are going to be miracles that are going to have to happen during that time, and they're going to happen. Okay, because we're not going to be able to make it through Jacob's trouble alone or by our own might. It's just not going to happen. All right, we're going to need that divine intervention from our power, the Most High Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai. Okay, so with that, and as always, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And I want to thank all you brothers and sisters for tuning in. And I hope this video was informative and edifying. And until next time, Shalom, family.